And if you say you want to be married, if you say you want to have kids, people attack you and say like, oh, you think that's the ultimate goal. It's like, no, let's take a pause and let's really talk about this. My loves, and welcome back to another episode of the Jamama podcast channel. I'm your host Isitu, and today I'm going to be talking about something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I wasn't really sure how to frame the episode, so there may be some incoherence here and there, but just bear with me. I'm going to try to get my thoughts together and just share with you guys what I think about this topic. So the overarching umbrella that I have for this topic is like, relationships are hard. And so when I really thought about that, I thought of a couple of different things. The first one being the phenomenon of sugar babies. So we see that a lot in today's society where it's being heavily promoted on social media, how to become a sugar baby, how to get a sugar daddy, and how to get taken care of and live the soft life. But the reality of being a sugar baby or having a sugar daddy is not as all fun and games as we like to think. I think there's a reason why so many people end up in situationships, and I think a sugar daddy, sugar baby relationship is a situationship, whether we like to call it that or not. The intent of having a sugar daddy or being a sugar baby is to live a soft life on somebody else's dime and just offer up your company in exchange. But here's the thing, we as humans are interdependent creatures. We are wired to desire companionship and connection. So while your intent may be to never catch feelings, more often than not, you do catch feelings. And I'm not saying that sugar babies always catch feelings for their sugar daddies, but the end result may be the same, whether it's a sugar daddy, sugar baby relationship or a situationship in general. So let me explain what I mean by that. We live in a world where the desire to have a connection or desire to be with somebody can be downplayed in many, many ways. I see a lot of posts on social media that marriage is not the goal. Not everybody wants to be married. Not everybody wants to have a family. And that is true. It is not for everybody, and you don't have to want it to be considered normal. But I think the pendulum has swung a little bit too far where now people are being shamed for wanting connection. And if you say you want to be married, if you say you want to have kids, people attack you and say like, oh, you think that's the ultimate goal. It's like, no, let's take a pause and let's really talk about this. My opinion is that nobody wants to be alone, whether they admit it or not. And I'm not making this video to shame adults for making decisions that they want to. People can choose to live their lives however they want to. But while you are free to make the decisions and the choices that you want to, you are not free from the consequences of those choices. So the focus of this video, I touched a little bit on sugar daddy, sugar baby relationship, situationships, the desire to have connection, but the primary focus of this video is going to be on marriage. And so thinking back to what I said about relationships being hard, I want to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about marriage and leave the decision up to you as an adult to make the choice that works best for you, but keeping in mind some of these things that I'm going to be talking about. So it will be really easy for me to go down the path of like religion and we have to get married and we have to have families within marriages for XYZ reasons. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about all of these things while putting religion to the side. Not as a form of disrespect to mine or anybody's religion, but because I think to have this conversation in the time and the period that we are in today's world, if you bring up religion, people automatically shut down and they don't want to hear it. So let me just speak about it from a rational standpoint and put my thoughts forward and let you guys make the decision for yourself. Companionship can be a really beautiful thing. So hear me out. How nice is it to have somebody to talk to at the end of a long day? How nice is it to have somebody to share your life goals with, to have somebody to hold you up when you're going through hard times, to have somebody to pick you back up when you failed at something? It's really one of those things that you can't really put into words. It's just really nice to have somebody. And I don't want this to come off as like, pick me, pick me, pick me. I mean, call me a pick me if you want to, but I really think that companionship is such a beautiful thing. And I think companionship in a marriage is like top tier. So because this is a podcast about motherhood and lifestyle, I have to bring up the aspect of kids. So many people are like, oh, you don't have to get married to have kids. Oh, you don't have to be in a relationship to have kids. You can be a single mom on your own and you can do it. Fine, no problem. But here's my thing. Kids are hard. It is so hard to manage kids, to raise kids, to be in the trenches with them for so many, many years. I can't imagine doing it alone. I literally am already struggling now with a partner. So I can't imagine what it would be like to have to do it all on my own. And I know somebody's going to be out there saying, oh, but you can have support from family. You can have your mom, your sister, your auntie. Fine, you can do all that. But they're not going to be around forever. They're not going to go to bed with you. They're not going to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning with your child. I mean, they might. There's always an exception. So guys, please don't get in the comments and start, pulling out the exceptions because they're not the rule. The rule is that overall, if you are a single parent, you're going through a lot of things by yourself. So why not go through it with somebody else, somebody who is your partner, somebody who is your husband? As a woman, I'm going to speak from that perspective, but I think it's just such a beautiful thing to have somebody to share your life with and for somebody to share the load with. This whole conversation is not about being a pick-me-sha. It's just the fact that we are created as interdependent beings, and as such, we like to be with other people. We like to go through life with other people. So when we start to reject that notion, when we start to push that away so much, especially as a society, we end up with a lot of unhappy people. I think our society has become so imbalanced because we like to promote the idea that you don't need anybody, that you can do it all by yourself. And there's no better signal for this than the rise of podcasts and just platforms that have popped up over the last couple of years of people talking about the dating world being so hard and how they can't find a good partner, and men are this and women are that. Like, the gender war did not just come out of nowhere. It came from this rumbling underneath of like, you don't need anybody, you've been wrong so many times, so now you need to be trying to do it all on your own. Like I said, the pendulum is just swinging from one side to the other without it really stopping in the middle to see that there are other alternatives. There are other ways to approach dating. There are other ways to be in relationships where you can have it be a healthy environment for you and your partner and any kids that you may have in it. I'm not a proponent of single parenthood. I think circumstantially it can happen for people, but to just actively choose to be a single parent, the effects that can have on you and the child is nothing to be taken lightly. And we shouldn't be doing it just because others are doing it. That's such a thing that we do in our society today, where we have this collective mentality that once something becomes popular or trending, or people start shaming people for doing things that are considered normal in society, that everybody has to hop on that bandwagon. Now, nobody wants to be in a relationship because all men are trash. All men are out here talking about women over 30 or da-da-da-da-da. Like, there's just such a venomous conversation that's going on in society today, and on social media especially, that people are ingesting and using that information to make decisions for their lives that may not be the most healthy of decisions. So getting back to the whole idea of marriage and why I am a proponent of marriage. It's not all butterflies and rainbows. It's not easy by any means. It definitely is something that is a commitment and something that you make day in and day out. Every single day you have to recommit, basically like renew your vows inside your head every single day that you're going to stick it out. And I'm talking for healthy relationships here. So I'm not talking abusive relationships. I'm not talking disrespectful relationships. I'm talking about you found somebody who is a good person to you. You are a good person to them. You guys vibe really well. You know, you're in love, and you decide to get married, and you decide to put in the work to maintain the relationship. I think a lot of people feel like once you date and you propose and you get married, that's where the road ends and the rest of your life you get to be happily ever after, like we see in Disney movies. That's not a reality. The reality is that marriage is very, very hard. Marriage is something that you have to put a lot of effort into, and you basically have to go into a therapy loop when you are married, because you have to continuously work on yourself, your partner has to work on themselves, and then you have to work on your marriage as a team. And I just want to say, for people out there, don't shy away from saying that you want to be married. Like I said, society will try to shame you for saying that because they think that you are a pick-me-sha or that you're just like traditional and outdated, but that is not the case at all. Much like other things in our lives, we have to manifest it and we have to put in the work to get it. If you want to graduate from college, you have to apply, you have to put in effort, you have to go to class, you have to take exams, you have to prove yourself, and then you get your diploma at the very end. If you want to get a job, you have to apply, interview, prove yourself, and you get a salary. So like, there's so many other aspects of our lives where we can apply discipline, we can apply effort, we can apply commitment, but for some reason when it comes to relationships, people seem to think that it is disposable and that you can just throw it away when it gets tough and you don't have to put in any effort. That's not reality. Marriage especially is one of those things that you have to understand that you're going to go through ups and downs, highs and lows. It's not going to be butterflies in your stomach like the first time you saw that person. The fire may not always be there. You have to re-spark it every now and then. Those things are just the reality of marriage and long-term relationships. And without us really understanding that, we can fall into the trope of, oh, it's not working for me, I need to move on to the next person. That's how we fall into the cycle of high expectations, low reward, depression, feeling down on ourselves, and then eventually just tossing the whole entire notion of being with other people away because we have decided that it is not worthwhile, it is not worth putting in the effort, and we let one or two bad experiences push us away from the potential of finding somebody that is really good for us, that we can have a long-lasting, happy relationship with. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit of a story time because I remember before I got married, I was just thinking that it was gonna fall on my lap. The perfect man, my soulmate, was just gonna walk through the door, ask me to be his wife, and I was gonna end up being somebody's wife. And I was gonna live happily ever after. And I remember I was in therapy, and my therapist, we talked about a lot of different things in my life. And one of the sessions that I particularly remember was about me talking about what I was looking for in a partner. So I was just talking, much like a lot of people, how dating is hard and it's really hard to find the right person. And of course, when you layer on top of it that I wanted to marry somebody who was Senegalese, who was Muslim, it was just like, I felt like there were slim pickings. So I was talking with my therapist about the characteristics that I was looking for in an ideal husband. And I listed off, like, I still have the note. I saved it to this day because I think it was just so funny how I was like, yep, this is what I want. I'm checking off all these things. And if they don't have it, I'm throwing them away. And my therapist looked at me and asked me, do you have these same qualities that you're looking for in a man? And I was like, I think so. But he was like, no, do you truly believe that you have attained this level that you're looking for in somebody else to come and bring into a relationship with you? And it was a really good discussion that we had because he kind of called me out on my BS. He basically was like, you're out here just really looking for what somebody else could bring to you, what characteristics you want them to have, and how they could be a benefit to your life. Have you stopped to think if those characteristics are within you? What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing into somebody else's life if they choose to commit to you? And it sent me down a very hard but healthy self-discovery journey where I could actually audit myself across these things that I said I wanted in a man. I may or may not share with you guys. We shall see. It's nothing salacious. It's basically just like your standard, rich billionaire. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. But it wasn't anything like groundbreaking. I just, listed down 10 things that I wanted in a man. And my therapist challenging me on those characteristics was exactly what I needed to help me prepare for what that future could look like with a man. So like I mentioned, he wasn't just gonna fall in my lap and we would just live happily ever after. There was work that I had to do within myself so that when I was ready to receive that person, when they came in, I was healthy enough to foster an environment where we could have a healthy relationship. So going back to the entire topic of like what this episode is about, we like to kind of take the easy way out sometimes when it comes to, I don't need love. I just need a sugar baby to take care of things for me. Or we get into these situationships where boundaries are not clear. You don't really know what the person is looking for from you. You don't even know what you're looking for from the person. And you're 5 years in and you're wondering like, what's going on? You're second guessing yourself. Nothing is really sure in your life. And you start to question yourself. You start to question society. You start to question partners that you've had. And then it really sets this like barrier in your life where whenever somebody new comes into your life, you're not looking at them from a healthy perspective. You're looking at them with the biases of everything that you've gone through and everything that you've ingested from social media. So circling back to what I was saying, we have to be willing to do the work within ourselves and acknowledge what it is that we want for ourselves and not be afraid to say, I do want a partner. I do want love. I do want companionship. And in order to have it in the most healthy manner, here's the work that I have to do for myself to get to that point. Here's the work that I'm expecting for the person coming in to do. And when we meet, here's the gap. You're always going to have a gap. There's no way that you're going to get to a point where you're perfect, the partner's perfect, and the relationship is perfect. There's always going to be work that has to get done. And that's where that effort and that commitment really comes into play. So I'm rambling and saying all these things to say that we have to get out of the mindset that things are going to come easy to us. We can focus on divorce rates all we want. We can focus on failed relationships all we want. But in the end, I truly believe that we all want somebody by our side when we're 90 years old. Nobody wants to be alone. And the first step in achieving that kind of happiness in that aspect of your life is understanding, acknowledging and accepting the fact that we are interdependent beings and we do want to be together with other people. Now, this is just one aspect of your life. I talked about school, I talked about jobs. So I'm very much a well-rounded person, in my opinion. I like to think that in life we have different buckets. Okay, so you can pour into your love bucket, you can pour into your career bucket, you can pour into your hobbies bucket, you can pour into your family bucket. There are many, many, many different buckets within our lives, and this is just one aspect of it. So please don't take this video as relationships are not everything. Relationships are not everything. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I know relationships are not everything. I know marriage is not everything. It is not the only part of who you are. Here I am married and I'm doing my podcast because this is something that I'm passionate about. We have passions, we have desires, and we are multifaceted people. So this is just one slice of the pie when it comes to who we are as people, as individuals, but we are the ones who make up society. So we have to start talking about these different buckets and talking about them in a way that we're piecing the whole pie together so that when it's done, it looks good, it tastes good, and it will go down easy. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Not a super long video, but it is something that I've been noodling on for a little bit because there's just so many things that I see on social media, and I'm just like, I am so tired of these gender wars. I'm so tired of us talking about each other in a combative way. Like, it seems like the world is at odds with each other and with itself. Like, there's so much negativity online, and I'm just like, it doesn't have to be that hard. I know there's a lot of work involved to get to like that ideal state, but I promise you it does not have to be that hard. You just have to first identify what you want for yourself. Don't let others think for you. Don't let the divorce rate speak for you. Don't let the failed relationships define you. You are a capable individual all on your own, and so whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve it. You just have to have the willpower and the desire within to do it. So that was my little motivational speech for the day. I hope this helps somebody out there realize that life doesn't have to stop at TikTok. It doesn't have to stop at social media. Make your own decisions. Think for yourself. Don't subscribe to the herd mentality. It is your life. You can make the decisions that work for you. And when we all do that, trust me, we will be much, much happier than just subscribing to what these male podcasters are talking about or the just pearly things of the world are talking about. There's no one size fits all solution to any of these things. So I'll just end it there and say thank you guys. I would love to know what you guys think about this actually. So before I say thank you, what do you guys think about this topic of like relationships, sugar daddies, sugar babies, situationships? What do you make of it all? Like, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I will see you in the next one.